Hi, this is Privateer Station, and today we're bringing you Day 183, a daily Ukraine war diary, done in the form of a discussion interview between Russian opposition journalist Mark Feygin and advisor to the office of the President of Ukraine, Olexiy Arestovych. Dear friends, glad to meet you all again on Feigin Live and the Privateer Station. It is Thursday, August 25th, 1 minute past 10 in Kiev, and we're doing another stream with Olexiy Arestovich. Day 183 of this war, and we'll be discussing that. Glad to see you here, Olexiy. Good evening. And it's over 100,000 live viewers joining us right now. About 20,000 click the like button. Big ask to all of you, please share links to that stream in social media, in other groups, so we can get more viewers and you can bring this information to more new audiences. And of course, subscribe to Feigin Live, to Olexiy Arestovich, and to the Privateer Station if you are watching, listening to that in English. All the descriptions are below. Okay, let's start with Chaplin. We got these news at the end of last stream. What can you say about that? It seemed like the whole day yesterday was generally alright, and now according to updated information, 25 victims, 2 of them are kids. Why was it possible, and what will happen later? Well, why was it possible? Because it's war, Mark. No, the question is not that. Did they pick the target where you have less air defense? Or they probably tried to intercept a military train somewhere at the station. But as always, they missed and destroyed civilian targets. They claimed, their bald-headed dude claimed they just killed 200 Ukrainian fighters. 200, yeah, 200,000. It's easy for them to claim. Right, they do like claiming that they destroyed all of your airplanes several times. Arestovich was destroyed, and Feygin was destroyed 20 times already. Don't even leave me there, Olexiy. I'll start swearing and they'll put a strike on this stream. They're just idiots, Mark. The procedure of picking the target is not simple. Because if you're doing it proper, you need intel confirmation and more data. If it's working alright, if you have it streamlined, then it works fine, if it is a good routine. But here is a difference. We do investigate our targets, they pretty much don't. And they're lacking the most important component of it. They're lacking the responsibility for attacking civilian targets. I can only imagine what would happen formally and informally to our people who would have targeted civilians like that. And, you know, also we are fighting on our own land, so we're super careful to not hit our own people. But even on the foreign if we're fighting on somebody else's territory, we would be careful. This is just not us. Unfortunately, our foe, Russia, does not care about these things. They do not give a damn about collateral damage, and this is not the first, this is not the last time this happens. On the other hand, most people were expecting something dramatic, half of Ukraine being destroyed for the Ukraine Independence Day. These people tend to believe that half a year later, Russian army does not fight, does not throw everything into the fight. They are, and that's all they can. And that's all they could have done yesterday. That's literally their capacity. People need to realize that they're not as scary. So what about retaliation strike? Are you guys planning anything to attack on Crimea? Mark, you need to understand, we're not doing it like gangster style. They burn towers, shop, we will go burn theirs. We'll find we'll find a good target, we'll reach it. It may happen as late as a week from now. So it is not something that we're breaking our plans and starting to look for something. No, we have a planned activity. We have a plan of our fighting, of our warfare. And this is where not the emotions dictate what to do, but a lot of different parameters. Presence of target, ability to reach the target, the size of a target, possibility of collateral damage. So trust me, when we'll have a good candidate, we will not be sitting on our hands. When we get another airfield in our sights, we'll blow it up. Here's some stats, Mark. Since 28th of June to 28th of August, roughly from them taking Severodonetsk and Lysychansk, we destroyed 154 warehouses with ammo, 91 logistic spaces, 4 barracks, 8 command centers, and 5 forward operating bases. That's pretty good stats. That's your data for how we respond to all the aggressions, to Nikopol, to Kharkov, to kids being killed by Russian troops, to military guys dying. Imagine there are just 10 people on each of these objects, just minimum. 181 to 60 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8 to 80 to 85. So about 2,000, almost 3,000 soldiers, occupants, and this is at minimum. And this is not even at the actual battlefront fighting. These are just missile hits. So we are continuing that plan. And this is our big answer. I do not exclude there is a probability of another aviation detachment getting blown up in Crimea or somewhere, and there probably will be something written on ammo. We're writing it. We're writing inscriptions. Czech ammo comes with notes. This is for Prague. And Poles send us ammo. This is for Katyn. Yep, seems like every nation in this vicinity has something to write on their ammo. We'll have over 260 watching us. Oh, by the way, I got a message. Here's another answer for you. Popasne Ravenki refueling base destroyed. In Kherson, command center of the brigade level just destroyed. This person who sent it to me, he's very knowledgeable. He knows everything. I don't think there is another one like him in the country. So that person is listening and sending you data. He is watching and he is actively engaging. All right, so next question. Shoigu, we started discussing that. He's saying that we are not going to do any offensive, we are protecting civilians. What's happening on the south? Any changes? Anything that deserves attention? Mark, in the south, they're trying to push us a bit away from the ocean, from the sea, on the southern road. They tried to advance, and we kicked them back. On the east, Izium group woke up, and they're trying to move to Prishib area and Novaya Kakhovka. We're showing the map, Olexiy. Sorry, I don't have it here. So right now in Novaya Kakhovka, their ammo is detonating. We blew up another ammo dump. So our answer is there. It's happening. And the front line I see is not moving on the map. There are a lot of arrows, but nothing is happening. They're making certain effort. It's always easier to comment when there were changes. we don't have it. So they're basically stuck in the wall and cannot move any further. So they wanted to fight a little bit near Svetogorsk and Priship. So they're probably trying to coordinate with a group that advances to the valley on M03 road, the one that goes in the middle diagonally. So that's the way Russian army works. When the command tells them you gotta go to Slavyansk, they just draw a direct line to Slavyansk and they just follow the line. They just take the shortest cut. Probably it's the way to make the orders easy. They just disregard anything in the field. So out of their great tactical achievements, they actually made a couple interesting motions to try to attack in between our detachments or trying to surround us again. So the tactical actions of a 30-year war with rethought in the modern surroundings. Nothing too surprising, but nothing too successful as well. They keep getting their butts kicked, and all these offensives, all these attempts are rather futile. So roughly since the 10th of July, in reality they actually started it right after Severodonetsk and Lysychansk. Alright, let's say since the 10th, today is 25th, about a month and 15 days, a month and a half, these people are trying to do something on this front. And they're not achieved anything. And what about the south? We have put aside our offensive. Mark, yeah, they put aside, but not the offensive. They just got a little too scared and put some stuff aside. We're coming back to that joke about the stone flower that's not coming out. Pretty much, yeah. So that offensive towards Nikolaev, according to our intel, was being prepared for the 10th of August. And yeah, they completely scrubbed it. I'm not even talking about what happened in Crimea, because all that air group was going to become airborne and risking their lives trying to support their offending or advancing troops. But since they had some technical difficulties, the offensive was set aside till better times. And in the meantime, all this aviation is trickling away to the continental Russia, which is also not helping them to achieve anything tactical here. Alright, let's talk again about everything Zaporozhye nuclear plant related. Today there was information that 2 reactors were stopped. Nothing was stopped on this station ever since they launched it initially. 2 energy blocks were turned off, as they're saying, caused by fire suppression system. And Russian side is claiming that this is what Ukrainians are doing. They're saying that they need to send a nuclear inspection, and Western allies telling Russians to demilitarize that zone, to withdraw from it. But there is a opinion coming out that they sort of stepped back from that nuclear plant, and now they seem to reinstate the same problem. So one of the information pieces we got here that it was just the automatic that turned on the fire suppression as a response to some rather minimal event, and that's how it works. So if there is a fire, it suppresses fire and it disconnects energy blocks. That's not a surprise. So now the personnel is trying to restart them and to continue providing electricity. So What if, imagine, if they just withdrew from it and created that demilitarized area? How? The whole world would take them as, see, they're somewhat reasonable. The whole world would react that, see, they're not completely insane. They're doing some goodwill gestures. Don't you think it's a little too late for goodwill gestures? It's kind of late, Mark, yes, but maybe still it could play something. So they could impress on the world that they are actually following some rules. And they could have gotten some allies in the West saying, see, Putin's troops are playing by the rules, they're not too devastating, they're doing some reasonable, accurate war, and maybe they could have pushed this agenda to get something. But see, Mark, they're idiots. They're idiots, and they also signed an order to conscribe 137,000 additional to the Russian army. You know, in military there is a principle never to give commands that will not be executed. This order will not be executed. Why did you think it come up? Why are they doing that circus show? You can get 10,000. They're taking from Mulina, what's the name of that town? From Nizhegorодskaya region. They're barely finding 10,000. And now they're putting an order for 137. Because they're idiots. They think you manage the country by orders and you manage the war by orders. And if Vladimir, the shining sun on the hill, wrote an order, that has to happen. No, it won't. They just don't seem to understand that military and even civilians should not be giving orders that are known to be not executed. You never could give orders like that. This is something that you are taught on the second day when you're a fresh new recruit in the military academy. Dear future officers, never give orders that you know before giving will never be executed. And in order for them to be executed, in order to expand the range of executable orders, you need to work with your troops. You need to have good health, good will, and good communication. So, we have people texting me right now, actually from Zaporozhye power plant, who are saying that, yeah, this is how automatic stuff works. They probably set the fire on purpose, because they know that if you get the station on fire or something on fire, automatic stuff just disconnects everything. So that's an easy procedure. That's what appears happened there. So now, going back to Russia, they're still failing to collect the personnel for the third military corps, which they promised to have 80,000. 80 corps are never 80,000. It should have been 15,000, but they couldn't even gather 15. What 137? What are you talking about? Where do you get officers and a younger command group for that, who can turn these 100,000+ people into some semblance of an army? Because everything is on the shoulders of the officers and younger command, or lower command. So Russia is just going to buy all those division commanders, lieutenants, captains. It takes years to grow up these people who know how to manage. And this is craziness, and this is madness I wanted to actually discuss today too, because there already are Russian military servicemen who defected, who abandoned their troops, and who are writing books about what's happening there. Yeah, Filatiev, we talked briefly about him before. They start describing the madness happening on the Russian side of the front, and I start to have concerns about their adequacy, not even what they appear to be, but even adequacy in terms of technical implementation. Not a single commanding officer can afford to send an order that he knows beforehand will not be executed. Even if you are a cannibal and people are following you by fear, which may be their situation in this case, still you need to give orders that will be fulfilled. And yet they still press with this madness. So, why am I so detailed about that? For me, it is a symptom of the beginning of the end. Oh, interesting. My Telegram was just attacked. How? Interesting people. They thought maybe if they send me a link during the show, during the stream, I'll be a little distracted and I'll click that link. Oh yeah, that seems like a usual stuff. On the 19th minute of a stream. Oh, 22nd. 20th. Alright, let's go further. Slutsky, a Russian congressman. He's in Russian Duma, kind of taking a position of Zhirinovsky, deceased Zhirinovsky. He's sort of a pale shadow of that character. And he's trying to lead the party that's called Liberal Democratic Party of Russia, which is basically a garbage bin of eccentricity and clownship. So they're voicing that they need to sit down at the table and discuss things with Ukrainians. It's funny, it appears they're using all different channels to try to say that word in Russia. On my other stream, Ponomarev said that no to war is now a pro-Putin slogan in Russia. We understand what connotation is behind it. So, in your perspective, how likely are they to actually compromise? Why am I asking it? I had a couple streams earlier today where the journalists of some Russian media and some politicians are stating that there'll be no referendum on the 11th of September in Kherson region. Well, it's not 11th today, it's still 25th, so they likely will swap on this a few times and flip-flop back and forth. But with all that propaganda machine running, how do you think they can paddle back with all the statements that they've been giving earlier about capturing these regions? So going that way, that's sort of a political withdrawal, right? They're running away. It's the first time they're doing it. It's not the first one, Mark. The first one was the absence of court-martial over Mariupol defenders that was announced for 24th. Well, but the court is the thing. They could have transferred it to a different day. Well, the same thing. They can move it to referendum. They could fall back and claim that it's a lot of military action happening and they defer it. But in general, Mark, they are working to de-escalate situation. It is super important for them. They need to cease fire, to get some time to form that 137,000 core. The country that started aggression with a scream will win in 3 days, and they even brought their parade uniforms and police batons to pacify the locals, and now they're getting ready to withdraw, change certain dates, and defer the court-martials. You know, some people were asking us to summarize half a year, the result of that war, but they're so obvious. I'm trying, it's a philosophic principle not to talk about obvious, but in my earlier stream I did talk to Yulia Latinina, and she mischievously got me talking on this. I'll still summarize a couple things here. So that grand battle for Ukraine is now dwindled down to the battle for a shed in Kherson region and the cow farm in on the Eastern Front. And probably a couple months from now, they'll be fighting for half a shed and the right wall of that farm. And as I understand, all the Putin's allies and sources in Russia, he's pushing on them to say that word. Peace talks, negotiations. So yeah, they're clowns, and if it was somebody serious, that would be one thing. But well, Peskov, he is a pretty serious figure, right? And Lavrov, he did use that word too. I can only imagine there's like a duty calendar somewhere. Slutsky, Peskov, Slutsky, it's your turn today. You gotta come out to the cameras and say peace talks. How? Just pick up any context. Make sure you use this word. To Peskov, you're doing that tomorrow. So now they're learning the meaning of the Ukrainian proverb, our gal is spoiled. Um, that's not enough for us. We do want to have their face on table. And we're doing it. By the way, I wanted to denote here one thing. Yesterday package sent by Biden, if you are very carefully reading line by line, 3 undisclosed positions. They're part of it. So could you reveal them here? No, we can't. When we do, there'll be interesting surprises. So I did have some experts here. Yesterday, indeed, they did mention that after the fourth Rammstein, they stopped disclosing in detail what they're supplying. I think it's a sign of... You know what? No, I don't. So, according to the character, if you analyze what is being sent, is it for defense or for offense? And, of course, why would you need to know more than you should, dear Putin, for Putin's supporters, Putin's orcs? The end is crawling quietly, on soft paws, but slowly creeping up on them. So one can imagine that there could be ATACMS or some other things. Mark, if you look in general in that package, there is a lot of anti-artillery systems that detect enemy's position. It also does a lot of interesting things. Weather, topography. So what I want to say, this is counter-battery fight, counter-battery duels. And if we are winning counter-battery strikes, we resolve a lot of things. And along with these things, with these machines, for counter-battery fight, we get 245,000 shells. Do you think that's all for defense? And anti-air systems that are being supplied in numbers. Why? Because you do need to cover big detachments of your troops, right? That's actually logical. Which altogether does again remind of a big final kaput creeping up on our foes. And they're probably watching. If Putin is watching that, he is probably getting a severe case of prolapse right now. Sorry, an old joke. All right, now let's quote Medvedev. This guy, between heavy drinking pills and stuff, made a statement. There are only 1.5 possible scenarios that could unfold in Ukraine. We either achieve all goals of our special military operation or a military coup in Ukraine when military would affirm the results of our operation. So he works in his own paradigm. I can only imagine our military, who did overthrow a government and started discussing, let's surrender, right? I think Medvedev is accidentally went too far in his deterioration of personality. How Yezhelet said, don't go too far, otherwise you're risking to exit on the other side. I think he just did the exit. Military guys, right? The ones who really want to finish that battle militarily, because there are many things here. 400 years, 70 years, Crimea, dying friends, killed children, raped women. These guys would topple their legal leadership, risking that nobody will acknowledge them. And imagine reaction of United States, NATO, and after that they're just going to Russia and surrender. Where would that thought come from? A military coup could come out of, hey, you're not fighting well enough, let's show you how it's done. That I could even entertain as a very, very minuscule, at least somewhat logical thought. But here it is horrible, yeah. You know, what's the difference between Tsar army officer and the Soviet army officer? Tsar army officer is shaven to the blue, slightly drunk, and can differentiate Sarah Bernard from Saint Bernard. And Soviet officer is drunk till blue, barely, slightly shaven, and does not differentiate Saint Bernard from Sarah Bernard. All right, we talked about this. Let's pick up another subject. I'm going through the chat here. I did promise to bring questions, so is there any movement in the question of leaving the borders of Ukraine by some categories like seamen, programmers, some people who work or can work overseas and make money there? That is being defined by General Zaluzhny. Cabinet of Ministers can ask him to do certain things, and I understand there is a conversation going about students. But there is also a president's position who is asking both of them to not ease up on the economic things. And you may agree or disagree with that, but it is his official position. No loosening up for anybody while we're fighting. I suspect there'll be some opportunities coming up for people whose work is related with short-term trips overseas. But that tendency, it will not be broad. It will be very selective. And just like some people saying, okay, all sailors, you can all go, or all students can go. No, it likely will be very tightly defined groups. You know my approach to that. I have a different opinion, but I do think that the system has to be firm yet flexible, and you can define certain parameters. But it's not me making these decisions, and military command could know a bit more details than I do. So let's leave them right to make that decision and set this course the way they think fit. And people can give them their grades after. So, from the possible armaments and ammo coming in the heavy hit regions like around Kharkov that is being shelled daily, is there anything in that news ad that can provide additional security for local civilians? Any defense systems? So, Mark, recently they hit us with Tornado. That's like a long-range MLRS system. It's very difficult to intercept that with anything. Nothing we can intercept near Nikolaev and Kharkov. Technically, yeah, you can shoot down one of these missiles, because that's one of the training. It's a typical task for a cadet in artillery. But the problem is that it can be used only in training, because a set of missiles from Tornado or from Grad, that's a lot of missiles. And the cost of a missile to shoot it down is very expensive. We'll lose the war just like that very quickly, because you cannot have too many of those to intercept. That's why it's considered to be uninterceptable. There is anti-air defense near Kharkov and near Nikolaev. They are targeting, though, cruise missiles, ballistic missiles. They cannot be covering from MLRS. And Nikopol also, that's another hotspot. It's a mix of MLRS and field artillery. Whenever it's ballistic missiles and targets coming in, yeah, we shoot them down. But if you're surrounded on the 4/5 of your territory by enemy states, you cannot be strong everywhere, and you cannot really do that Iron Dome strategy. So the enemy is also not entirely stupid. They are looking at different openings, and once again, I remind you, they are picking the place where they'll shoot. We're only responding to that in defense cases. So that problem can be resolved basically only one way: when the enemy is defeated in the field and kicked out of Ukraine territory. And Kharkov will likely be shelled from Russia till the very end. to the last days of this war, because you don't even need to be on Ukrainian territory to reach it. They can just shoot it from Russian territory. But there are things happening in Belgrade region, so one should not think that we do not retaliate for their shelling of Kharkov. We do punish them back, but this is just a reality. Um, we might bring and reinforce certain areas, but it's impossible to completely protect the skies of these cities. And even if we had Americans here, they would still be confined to not hitting Russian territory. And even if, imagine, okay, we retaliated, we shot up something in the vicinity of 100 miles of our border on the Russian side, it will not really change the situation. They have Iskander systems that can reach 500 miles. So, for example, Nikolaev, the moment we kick Putin's troops out of Kherson, they'll stop reaching Nikolaev. Again, with the current means. They can still reach it with long-range missiles, but they'll be less accurate. So this problem is to be solved on a wider scale. We just need to win this war. We have about 300,000 people watching us. About a third of you click the like button. We're live for almost 36 minutes, so please find it within you to click that like button and subscribe to Feygin Live, Olexiy Arestovych, and the Privateer Station if you are watching that in English. We have a stream tomorrow, right? No, Mark, we don't have one tomorrow, but we have one on Saturday. Okay, so we don't have one. Mark, when I'm missing a day, something usually happens. Oh yeah, I do know that. Every time you're out, something is going on. All right, we'll discuss that when you're back. The last question about sanctions. It seems to be slowing down. We have not seen personnel-related sanctions to certain individuals. Can I open a serious secret for all of you right now here on this show? Mark, August is a month of political vacations in Europe. They're all out. They're all taking their time off. Actually, a lot of Americans too. Yeah, it's good for them. We're working, right? The Prime Minister of Finland was dancing. See, they're out. Mark quoting Vishnevsky poem about getting excited, but not completely, when a certain person enters the room. Mark, oh well. On my personal note, I want to say that I'm very grateful to Finland for help, and I do appreciate everything you guys do, and especially beautiful ladies that you have running this country, and these ladies, when they come over and help us here, I appreciate it even more. I said it out loud. Sorry, cannot retract it back. Unfortunately, yeah, Friday we will not have a meeting. You have to go. I understand, yes. You need to have a trip, but we'll wait for Saturday. All right. Dear friends, thank you so much for being here. Olexiy will be with us on Saturday, and I hope we'll have something to discuss. Thank you for spending the evening with us. Please share links to that stream in your social media, and make sure everybody who needs to see that, needs to hear that, does. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, Olexiy. Thank you, everybody.